Hello and welcome back to the channel. LC here, back with a new guide from Multiversus. Today going over the newest addition to the roster. That of course being Lebron James has been added to the Multiversus beta. And let's just take a moment to appreciate some of the diversity of the entire cast. You know, we finally got a black man that looks like a black man out here. None of this, and definitely none of this right here. I'm just kind of glad that there's some representation out there.
About damn time. And
he's actually a really damn good character. I spent about 5 hours playing him. I really would like to get a feel for the characters before I jump in and do any type of tutorials and stuff like that. What we're going to be taking a look at today is, of course, his moveset, his normals, his specials, his recovery options, but more importantly, what the game plan is. That's one thing I always want to try and emphasize is what the hell are you supposed to be doing with this character with them out on the field. So I've did a lot of 1v1s and 2v2, so we'll be breaking that down. And the whole purpose of this is just to show you guys how to get buckets. You know what I mean? How can you make your LeBron James as good as possible? So I have some tips and ideas for you guys, but if you are new here, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let's try to get 100 likes on the video. And if you're looking for a home for more Multiversus action, I plan on making tutorials for pretty much everything with the game, movement, character guide, stuff like that. Make sure you subscribe. But without further ado, LeBron James tutorial live now. So let's take a look at LeBron's entire move kit. So his entire passive ability has to do with having the basketball. When he has the basketball, he has access to much more wider range of moves and are much more powerful. And when he doesn't have it, he has essentially an entirely different kit. So it's going to be pretty tantamount to make sure that you have the basketball at all times. And I'll go over some tips and tricks on how to maintain the basketball, because without it, you are kind of a little helpless. You're not entirely terrible, but you definitely will feel it. So we're going to go over the moveset with the basketball first and then without it. So his just standard normal attack with the basketball, pretty good. It is a charge. It's pretty damn good. It has a few points of armor on it. And it's definitely plowed through some things I didn't expect it to be able to go through. So it's pretty good. Then we have his down attack, which is a dribble. Now this does have a backwards hitbox too. So you see here, that's pretty good. And this is definitely like, if people are just like mashing, you know, you kind of get in that cluster where people are just mashing. This is a good way to kind of interrupt that as well. If they're trying to reset you. Then we have the up smash attack, which is, it's pretty good, but the hitbox on it can be a little, finicky. It's good, and it can be used for anti-airs for sure, but I found that sometimes I expected it to hit and it just flat out did not hit at all. So keep that in mind. And then his standard three-point combo is going to be this. Now, as you see here, this elevates him into the air, which is pretty good for anti-air. So if you end up whiffing the entire properties of it here, and somebody's coming in down, it will still go off. So it's really good for that. There was a lot of times where people would just see you whiffing and they're like, oh, okay, I'm going to try and challenge him. But then you do the third attack and you can easily interrupt it. I'll show you guys some footage of that here as well. So that's pretty much his standard attacks. Let's take a look at all of his normals without the basketball. Now, of note, in order to get the basketball back, you can either press triangle, which is a special attack, to get the basketball back, or you can hit him with one of his standard attacks. Now, of note, if you do it with specials, as I'll show you here in a moment, I'll do his specials, you won't get the basketball back. It does have to be a standard base attack. So let's press square here. He'll get the basketball back automatically. Now, the square attack that he has here is almost identical to Velma's. I'll do a split screen here, but it is chargeable. This is one of his few chargeable moves. Has a pretty decent hitbox, but it's almost entirely like Velma's, like little a dialogue box that comes out. It's almost identical to that. So that's his standard attack without the ball. And his down is pretty good as well. This has a deceptively large hitbox. Like when you do this right here, this is like anti-air people. Like when his hands are in the air, like I've like anti-air people and stuff like that. It's really good. So I'll show you the moves that you want to go to in order to try and get the ball back if you don't have access to it. You press triangle right here. You notice the ball was summoned back, but immediately you have that cooldown box right there. So of course they don't want you spamming this over and over again. And let's take a look at some of his air normals as well without the ball. So without the ball, that's generally my go-to. This has a pretty tremendous hitbox. Well, you fast fall with it and stuff like that. If you're trying to get the ball back, that air normal is one that I generally recommend doing a lot, as well as down attack. Those are really good ways to get the ball back. And then you have up air as well. You see here, this doesn't really have a hitbox on the ground. It always elevates him to the air. So you can try and like fast fall and get that. That'll work and stuff. It's not the greatest option. The hitbox is a little, it's a bit tighter than you would expect. So just keep that in mind as well. But any of those attacks will get you the basketball back, which is what you want immediately. LeBron without the ball is definitely, I'm not going to say entirely gimped, but you feel it. Just like other characters, you know what I mean, when their cooldown move is pending, you can definitely, that's you're at your most vulnerable. So keep that in mind as well. So let's take a look at some of his aerial specials with the ball. So with the ball, you have this neutral attack in the air. This is pretty good. I normally use this as my opening. Going in, really good hitbox. Kind of disjointed as well. Do fast falls with it. It's pretty good. I would say you use this a lot in neutral. It's a pretty good option. You have forward attack in the air as well. You see this is quite quick. It can be used quite low from the ground. Both of them can be kind of used quite low from the ground. I like the height on this game. Like really the height of this game. You can do normals quite low. And this is his air down attack. This is pretty good. Now I use this a lot because I don't know if people just don't notice, like it is still like the first day of the character. So granted it will be punished in time. But I think people always expect something else. So when you do this right here, it seems to always catch people off guard. So this is one of LeBron's best moves for sure. His air up smash or attack, whatever you want to call it, is kind of broken. I think this is one of the best anti-airs in the game. As you can see, it's kind of disjointed and it really makes people guess. Like let's turn the A on real quick to jumping and I'll kind of show you real quick. So it's pretty good. You can fast fall with it as well. Pretty good. This is something when we go over the footage here in a moment, this is something that's used a lot. You know, this is definitely going to be one of your best anti-air options as well. And this just catches people, man. You'll be surprised how much it catches people. I definitely think this is one of the best air normals in the entire game, for sure, easily. So those are his air normals there. They're all pretty good. I wouldn't say any of them are bad. This one's probably one of the safer options. This one as well. He just has good normals, man. When he has the ball, of course, you know, his normals are quite impressive when he has the ball. So that's it for just his standard attacks. I would say overall, LeBron's overall like toolkit with the ball is like an 8 out of 10. He's extremely powerful and can make a lot of good decisions when he has the ball. Just kind of like in real life, right? So let's take a look at his specials. So triangle, it will throw the ball. Now this is kind of deceptively fast. And if you see here, when he throws the ball, when it comes back to him, it'll automatically, you don't have to like regenerate the ball or anything like that. So this is kind of faster and it seems to kind of catch people that like to like dash in straight lines. However, it is obviously a liability if you throw it and it whiffs. So you throw it and whiff. I now have to summon the ball back. You can summon the ball back pressing triangle. However, if you lose it again after you summon it back, you have to do a normal attack, not a special, in order to get it back. It's quite easy to land that attack. Maybe not so much in 1v1, but in 2v2s, I found myself not without the ball, not too much. So that's his standard special. It's pretty good. I love it. And then his ground special is kind of just like a ball flare. He just dunks the ball on the ground like this. I didn't really find too much utility for this move. You can't charge it. It's just okay. You know what I mean? Like I didn't really find much utility of it. And on the ground for his up special is kind of weird. He shoots the ball, which can definitely be interesting. I mean, I see it has anti-air properties. But for me personally, when you shoot the ball, the problem is that you're definitely going to lose the ball unless you have a teammate hit you back or it hits a wall or something like that. So for recovery options, yeah, it's okay, right? But in standard like gameplay, would not recommend it. Like he does go pretty high up, I would say. When he shoots the ball, that's pretty decent, right? He goes pretty high, but recovery in this game really isn't too much of an issue right now. We're still literally day one. So that's something that's going to change, but I think that it's going to have more utility as it goes on. Right now, it's not too impressive, but we'll see what happens with that move as time goes on. The fact that you have to give the ball up is kind of scary. You know what I mean? You're like automatically, if you're trying to get back to the ledge, that makes sense. But if you're doing it just in the middle of battle, that doesn't really, you know, make sense. You're not going to really get any ROI on that. So that's it for his standard specials. So let's take a look at some of his aerial specials. So the big one, and this is going to be the attack that you see a lot. This is going to, I'm calling it right now. This is going to be the attack that everybody's going to bitch about since the death of Taz Tornado. And that's going to be LeBron's side triangle attack, his side special attack. And it's a huge dunk. And this move kills at absurdly low damage. So that's going to be like I was calling people like 65, 66. It's going to be an absolute terror in 2v2. Maybe not as crazy as Taz was, because if you see this, you have so much time to react to that, right? When he's in the air, he can control his arc to a certain extent. Like, you can control it, right? It's nothing too crazy, but the thing is that it also has a backward hitbox. So even if I don't hit him point blank, there's still flares that go off. Like, look at this. See that? And it also has a backward hitbox. If you look here, even if I hit him behind him, it's still going to be a problem. Now, this move can't really be canceled out of. So there it is a bit of a commitment. So if you do this, you're committing to it. If you see somebody do this, and I'll show you in a bit, there's been some situations where I was doing this and they just knocked me into a hole, you know, into the ground. Like, that definitely is a bit of a commitment if they see it coming. But it definitely 100% that move is going to be the scrub killer. That's going to be the move that everybody really, and it's going to annoy the hell out of people in 2v2. I'm calling it right now. It's pretty good. That is going to probably be your go-to knockout attack. Your other go-to knockout attack when it comes to LeBron is going to be this is good as well. Really, really good. And I would say his standard B&B, if that's what you want to call it, his normal string, it's pretty good. I mean, this right here, of course, those are going to be what you want to go for knockouts. Of course, you can juggle with stuff like that. He has I never had issues with knocking people out with him, honestly. Like, you are going to be able to get it off with him. But this will probably be, when people start getting desperate, this is the desperation move right here. You'll start seeing people do that all the time. So to round out LeBron specials, the rest is kind of underwhelming, if I'm being honest with you. He has this attack right here in the air. And this is really going to be good for edge guarding. I think that's really what his purpose is going to be for. Doing this attack off the edge is going to be annoying as hell. But you do risk losing the basketball court, so you got to kind of keep that in mind as well. But that's going to be good. Pretty good lingering hitbox. Even if you do it like right in front of him, like where the edge is, that's good. You know, you have a lingering hitbox there. They kind of have to commit to doing something, either a dodge or something like that. Easy dodge bait. That's really good stuff. So let's talk about LeBron specials when he does not have the ball. Now, this is where things are kind of underwhelming. So when he doesn't, we'll do ground first and then we'll do aerial. So on the ground, he has a really good attack. See here? It'll essentially allow him to block any incoming projectile. And if he blocks 2 projectiles, he automatically gets the ball back. So this is one of the only specials that actually help him get the ball back. And then he has the shoulder charge, which is actually pretty good for not having the ball. This is probably one of your best attacks for not having the ball. And it definitely does a lot knockback. I've killed quite a bit of people edge guarding with that. It is pretty viable, I would say, because it has that little charge animation, so they're not entirely sure when it's going to come out. I found it to be quite good. And then the last thing, which I thought was hilarious, they have the LeBron smoke throw, which is pretty good. I like a lot of just the kind of the signature things that he does on the court, kind of that translated into the game. I really love that aspect of it. So the smoke throw is pretty decent for anti-air, and it's nothing to write home about. It definitely pales in comparison. It has a larger hitbox than when he has the ball and he does a spin and everything like that, but it's not that great, I don't think. It's okay. And in the air, he has some decent options. He has a block, of course. He has a shoulder tackle, and then he has this right here. Now, that's okay. It has a decent hitbox, you know what I mean? It's kind of like the Steven Universe one, but kind of a worse version. It can be used, you know what I mean? Without the ball, he's not completely useless. He can definitely get his shit off, I would say. For his normal, he has the chest beat, which is kind of interesting that they gave that to him. Without the ball, his aerial normals are okay. That has a decent hitbox. Should be able to use that. And in the air, that move is pretty good too. That's a good way to get the ball back, and I use that a few times in the matches. That's good. Bounce fall with that. Yeah, I like that a lot, actually. I think I use that a few times, but I definitely, using it now, I'm going to use that a bit more. Probably one of the better ways to get the ball back for sure. The chest beat, I think, is okay. You can get the ball back with that. But yeah, keep that in mind. He is 2 completely different characters when he has the ball, when he does not have the ball. The one thing about LeBron is that he definitely has a lot of emphasis on like team play as well. If you throw the ball at your teammate, as you see here, it'll kind of like spin around them, and if your ally does any type of attack, it would automatically like allow you to do like a alley-oop slam dunk, which does a lot of damage, but it is somewhat situational. But in 2v2, I suspect people are going to quickly figure out how to abuse that. And when you see somebody, you know, with a teammate with the ball orbiting them, you definitely want to be a little safe, because that can instantly, you know, be a KO if you're like 60-70% or anything higher. So all of his attacks are pretty good, you know what I mean? With and without the ball, I think he's definitely viable. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at some footage from some of the matches I played with him in both 1v1 and 2v2, and kind of go over what the entire game plan is. In 1v1, I think he's pretty strong in 1v1 actually. I don't think any character is like outright terrible in 1v1, but some just excel further in 2v2, right? It makes sense. In 1v1, definitely just use the ball as much as possible. You'll be surprised how many people just try and like run at you, or they'll try to run at you and they'll try and dodge and stuff like that. Until people kind of get used to the fact that they have to deal with the basketball, even if it's a win. If you get them to dodge, that's fine. Or if you hit them, that's fine as well. If you hit them, you typically get the ball back anyway. See right there, you pretty much always get the ball back. So the game plan, I would say, definitely is your approach will kind of be like aerial approach. If they are kind of close, this has a pretty good lunge. See this right here? That is a pretty good lunge. So if somebody's trying to approach unsafe, that's a good way to kind of stop that as well. You could always mix it up, you know, with the slam dunk. So one thing about the slam dunk, guys, is that when you do the slam dunk, it automatically breaks the basketball. So I think they kind of knew that attack is going to be abused as much as possible. So they made it so that you do that, it destroys the basketball. If you can summon it back, that's fine. If not, you have to go out of your way to try and get a hit to get the basketball back. So keep that in mind. So in conclusion, kind of with 1v1s, the ball is definitely your X factor. Somebody's just running at you being super hyper aggro and like not using their jumps appropriately, just throw the ball at them. That's a really good stop button, honestly. If they're approaching by air a lot, you can do that, but just keep in mind, none of those have any type of charge. So if you do this of attack, they'll know immediately the timing of it. There's no way to kind of mix them up with that. But if you do like short hops, you can always do like the aerial version. They won't know what it is. Good options right there. He is also a hybrid, so he doesn't necessarily excel on the ground or in the air. He's kind of the best of both worlds. It's good. In most cases, I typically would say that some characters are clearly for 1v1 and some are for 2v2. But I think honestly LeBron just excels in both of them. Like this man, he's got this movement. He will definitely be out there moving up. And I think that's pretty good. You know what I mean? I think certain characters just definitely don't feel right in 1v1 or 2v2s. But the whole time I played him in 1v1s, like I felt like I never felt disadvantaged. I always felt like I just made the wrong decision. And that's kind of how you want to feel when it comes to, you know, playing any type of competitive game. You don't want to feel that the character itself is, or the mode itself is kind of holding you back. And I never felt like that using LeBron. Always felt like there was an answer. I just didn't use the right option. The only time I really got like completely dismantled, and I'll show you guys right here, was against Arya, and Arya was just cooking. There's nothing else to say. Once Arya gets moving, and that was the first one I had fought all day, it's hard. We all know that. But, you know, towards the end, I started figuring it out, you know, how they were playing. And he definitely has, he has momentum. That's one thing I like about that as well, is that he has pretty big momentum shifts. If he gets moving, you know what I mean? He has good chases and stuff like that. He has good, like, abilities to kind of defend and kind of not be there. I don't know. I like everything about this character. It's not because he's a black man. All right, guys. But yeah, with that, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. This is a pretty quick and easy LeBron James tutorial, kind of general tips and tricks. So this is, of course, day one. So a lot of this is subject to change. So don't take this too critical. The entire purpose here is to give basic tips on how to use them and how to execute his game plan. But with that said, LC signing out. I'll see you guys in the next one. Let me know what guide you like next for the cast. There's a couple characters I've been using a lot. Probably Harley Quinn, but she is pretty difficult to use at the high level. But I'll see what I can cook up. Until next time, LC signing out. Peace.